She went home with a red mark on her cheek and walked back with someone the world forgot to fear. Before we dive in, let us know where you're watching from today. And if you like this story, don't forget to subscribe. The echo of bare feet brushing against the polished mat filled the gym, like a rhythmic whisper. Afternoon sun slid through the high windows, slicing golden lines across the floor. Students moved in sync, shouting key on cue, following each count of Sensei McCann, but not Lena. 14, slight, focused. She moved just a little differently, sharper, maybe quieter. Her kata was smooth, precise, stripped of flash, but full of intention. Even the transitions carried weight. Her punches didn't just strike, they landed like punctuation. A boy in the back paused mid-form. "Whoa," he muttered, loud enough for others to hear. "Where'd she learn that?" Someone laughed. "Yeah, new girls got secret training." Lena exhaled, finished the form, and stepped back into line. "Lena McCann," called out, voice clipped, front and center. She blinked. "Yes, sir." She stepped forward. McCann, tall, lean, with a coiled authority in every step, tilted his head. "Who taught you that sequence?" "That's not the school curriculum." She hesitated. "Just a beat too long." "My grandfather." He raised an eyebrow. "Your grandfather?" "Yes." Her voice didn't shake, but it wasn't firm either. "He was a karate champion. 6-time national title holder. He taught me the traditional style before I joined this class." Somewhere to her left, a girl snorted. "Okay, movie script." Then another boy chimed in. "Wait, 6-time champion? Who was your grandpa, Bruce Lee?" "No," Lena said calmly. "Chuck Norris." The room froze, then exploded. "Chuck Norris?" Someone laughed. "No way. You mean the meme guy?" "Did she just say Chuck Norris?" "Bro, she watches too much YouTube." Sensei McCann didn't laugh. He stepped closer. "Enough," he said to the class. They quieted, but the smirks lingered. Then he turned back to Lena. "You say your grandfather is Chuck Norris?" The words landed like bricks. "Yes," Lena answered. That was all. McCann stared at her, long, quiet. "Do you think this is a joke?" he asked. She didn't respond. "Do you think using someone else's fame to get attention is honorable?" "I wasn't trying." "You've disrespected this class in our practice," he cut in, stepped forward. "You're going to apologize to everyone for lying." She hesitated, glancing at the rows of faces. Some curious, some bored, some still smiling. "I didn't lie," she said softly. Louder, he barked. "Apologize." She raised her chin. "I didn't lie." And then the sound cracked through the room like a lightning bolt. His palm, open, her cheek, red. The impact stopped everything, even breath. No one moved. Lena stood frozen. Her face turned slightly to the side, eyes still open. A slow flush spread across her cheek, and her lips parted just slightly. Not in shock exactly, not pain either, but something deeper. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. Just lowered her eyes and clenched her fists hard. Her knuckles paled. Silence. A silence so sharp it felt like glass about to break. Nobody stepped in. No one even whispered. It was as if the entire room had agreed to forget what just happened. "Back in line," McCann said quietly. Lena nodded once, turned, and walked slowly to her place. Every step sounded louder than it should have. And then the class moved on, or tried to, but something had shifted. Everyone felt it. The summer sun was still bright when she left the gym. Her duffel bag swung lightly at her side as she unlocked her bike. She didn't look back. The pavement was hot under her shoes. The kind of heat that stuck to your skin like static. She pedaled in silence. No music, no wind, just the buzz of her tires and the thrum in her chest that hadn't slowed since the slap. Her fingers gripped the handlebars a little too tight. And the words kept echoing, over and over. Chuck Norris. Seriously? Liar. Trying to be special. She blinked fast. Didn't cry. The streets blurred by in streaks of green and gold. Her heart felt too big in her chest. Her face still burned. But that wasn't the worst of it. It was the way no one had looked at her after, like she was invisible, or worse, like she wasn't worth defending. When she reached the small gate leading to her grandfather's yard, she stopped, dismounted, the bike tilted, half resting on the grass. She stood still for a second, brushing her hair behind her ear, taking in the calm of the porch, the sound of sprinklers, the hum of cicadas. Chuck Norris was out front, watering the flower beds. His white hair shimmered faintly under the sun. He didn't look up right away, just said, "You're home early." She didn't respond. Then he turned, saw the mark on her face, paused, his hand lowered. He didn't say, "What happened?" He didn't say, "Are you okay?" He just looked at her for a long moment and walked inside. Lena followed. Inside the kitchen, Chuck placed 2 glasses on the table, filled them, sat down, pulled out a photo from the drawer. An old one, faded at the edges. It was her, age 6, standing beside him, both in GI, both smiling in front of a dusty tournament banner. He slid the photo across to her without a word. And finally, Lena whispered, "They laughed. Then he hit me." Chuck looked at her, eyes steady. "Different," he said quietly, his always threatened first. He leaned back in his chair, let the silence sit. Then he stood, walked over to a drawer, and pulled out an old, worn black belt, folded it once carefully, and set it next to the photo. "You're not here to prove anything," he said. "But you should know how to stand, even when the floor disappears." She looked at him. He met her eyes. "We start again," he said. She nodded. He poured more water. Tomorrow would be different. She didn't sleep much. Even after the house grew quiet and the garden lights clicked off, Lena lay in bed, staring at the ceiling fan. It spun slowly, humming like a lazy clock that didn't care how fast the world was moving. Her cheek had stopped stinging, but the heaviness inside hadn't lifted. That part settled somewhere behind her ribs and refused to move. Down the hallway, Chuck's room was silent. He hadn't said much after dinner, not angry, not soft, just observing. She felt his eyes on her during the meal, like he was waiting to see something. She didn't know what. And honestly, she wasn't sure she had it to show. In the kitchen, the photo still sat where he left it. Their tournament picture from 8 years ago. She had braces. He had a beard. They were both smiling in that awkward, proud way only martial artists do, after winning by 1 point with a sprained toe. Lena turned over in bed, sighed, a long, hollow breath. Maybe sleep would find her if she stopped asking it to come. It didn't. The next morning, Chuck was already outside. His boots tapped lightly on the stone walkway as he raked the garden path. The man had this way of moving, like he belonged to time itself. Slow, deliberate, patient, but never still. She stepped out barefoot on the porch, rubbing her arms. "You're up early," she said. He didn't look over. "You slept late." She walked down the steps, eyes on the rake in his hand. It moved like clockwork. Scrape, lift, pull. Scrape, lift, pull. "About yesterday," she started. Chuck interrupted, still facing the garden. "You hungry?" Lena paused a little. He set the rake down and nodded toward the backyard. "Good. Then you can train before breakfast." They didn't walk far, just 10 steps beyond the flower bed, where a simple square of grass had been trimmed low and flat. At one corner, a wooden post leaned at a slight angle. It had no rope, no markings, but the indent in the grass said it had been used. Often. Chuck rolled his shoulders and stretched one arm behind his back. "You remember the 3? He asked. "The 3, she echoed. "The forms I taught you when you were 7. You used one in class yesterday." She nodded slowly. The breathing form and side step. He raised an eyebrow. That's two. She smiled faintly. The pivot for balance. He gave a quiet grunt of approval. Still in you. I never forgot them, she said. I just didn't know if they mattered in a place like that. Chuck finally turned toward her. His face didn't change, but his eyes, there was something sharper now. Not anger, not even pride, just clarity. They matter more in a place like that, he said. Especially there. She didn't respond right away. There were too many words between them. The ones she wanted to say weren't coming out in the right order. So instead, she just stepped onto the patch of grass. It wasn't a mat, but it was level, soft enough, familiar. He nodded once. Show me the first one, slowly. She began to move, not with the perfection she'd chased in class, but with care. Each shift of weight deliberate, each breath connected to the movement. She didn't perform. She remembered. Chuck circled her, slow, like measuring the wind. When she finished, he gestured again, now with intent. The second time, she moved faster, clearer. Her fist didn't tremble like yesterday. And when she landed the last strike, an open palm heel thrust, he said, that's enough. Lena exhaled. Her heart was beating faster now. Not from exhaustion, from something else. Something quieter, but deeper, like waking up in your own skin after being a stranger for too long. Chuck stepped forward, removed the black belt from his back pocket. It was faded and folded neatly, not pristine, worn, like it had stories of its own. He didn't hand it to her, just set it on the wooden post. She stared at it, then at him. I'm not ready to wear that. You're not supposed to be, he replied. She waited. He didn't explain. Not in the usual way. Chuck Norris never really did speeches, but he looked at her again, that same steady gaze as yesterday, and said, honor isn't what you carry. It's what you